So today I'm going to attempt to make couscous. I've never actually made this before, so hopefully it turns out well. But my ingredients today are going to be couscous, obviously, and some diced tomatoes, some asparagus, salmon, my olive oil base, and salt and pepper. Okay, so first we're going to start by preheating our oven to 375. Go ahead and do this first just so you can get it out the way and you don't have to wait on it later when it comes time to put in your salmon. Next, you're going to start cutting up your vegetables. Now, the prep time for this whole recipe, I would say, took me around like 15 minutes. Also, go ahead and wash your vegetables just because you don't know where those veggies have been and how many hands have touched them. So go ahead and wash off your vegetables. Same with fruit. And yeah, any other fruit and vegetable, just wash them off before you cook them. I'm currently looking for a knife to use. It was really hard to find one. But yes, you're gonna go ahead and cut off the very ends of the asparagus because no one likes those. And once you do that and throw those away, cut your asparagus into, I guess it's a preference thing, but I'm cutting mine into threes. I guess just based off of the length of your asparagus. Now this asparagus is a lot bigger than what I would usually get. I kind of like my asparagus to be skinnier, but I just kind of have to work with it. But moving on, I'm going to go ahead and cut up my diced tomato. But like I said, go ahead and wash them off first. And you can use any tomato that you like. I know they come in different sizes, but I prefer the grape size, I guess that's what you would call them, the grape size tomatoes, and I'm going to go ahead and cut those into halves. So there you go. That is my vegetables. I'm just going to put those to the side while I go ahead and move on to my couscous. So like I said, I've never made couscous before, but it's a pasta, so you would prepare it as you would any other pasta, you know, with boiling water. So what you're seeing me doing now is adding 1 3/4 cups of water. And once you get that going, you're going to add a spoonful of olive oil to your pot of water. Now I have my water set on high just so I can get it boiling faster. Eventually I'm going to reduce the heat to medium once I add in my couscous, but for right now I have it set on high. And I'm also going to add some salt just to add a little bit of flavoring to my couscous. I'm going to stir that around for a little bit and patiently wait for that to come to a boil before I add in my couscous. But in the meantime, you can go ahead and pull out your other pan, the pan that the vegetables will be going into, and start heating that up. Now I noticed that my water was starting to boil, so that is the time where I'm going to go ahead and add in my couscous. Now be careful because the couscous that I had a packet flavoring of roasted garlic, and I probably should have taken that out before I started adding in my couscous, but I didn't see it at first, so definitely be careful and cautious about that. Once you add it in, you're going to go ahead and stir that around, and like I said, reduce your heat from high to medium. You're going to cook your couscous on medium heat. As I'm waiting for that to simmer, I'm going to go ahead and add in my olive oil base to my vegetable pan and also some minced garlic. I forgot to include this in my ingredients at the beginning of the video, but I love adding garlic whenever I cook because it adds a lot of flavor to my food. This is the packet that I was talking about that I'm going to eventually add to my couscous once it starts to thicken up. But yes, garlic and also I would say like onions are my two go-tos for adding flavor to my recipes. But for right now, I'm just going to use garlic, and then eventually I'm going to go ahead and put in my asparagus. But I'm just adding a little bit more of olive oil just because I noticed how much vegetables are going to go into that pan. And it's also very important that you go ahead and do your asparagus first, just because it takes a little bit longer to cook down than the tomatoes. Like I said, my asparagus is a little bit thicker this time, so I know for sure it's going to take a lot longer to cook than my tomatoes. This is totally optional, but go ahead and add in some salt to your vegetables, just to add some extra flavor. If you're anything like me, I hate bland food, so I'm going to add some salt to my asparagus just to add a burst of flavor. Once I saw that my couscous was starting to thicken up, I'm going to add in my flavoring, my roasted garlic flavoring. So go ahead and give it an occasional stir every now and then while you're cooking your vegetables, just because you don't want it to all clump together and you don't want all the seasoning to go to like one side or whatever, just to make sure that it has an even consistency throughout your pot. Now, as you can see, my couscous is coming along just fine. It's starting to become a little bit more textured, and I guess you would call it like pasta-like. But I can definitely see that it is ready to go pretty soon. Moving along, I'm checking on my asparagus, giving it a little poke, just to see if it is as tender as I would like it to be. I don't like for my asparagus to be too hard or too soft. I like it just to be a little bit tender with just a little bit of crunch. So that is perfect for me, so therefore I'm going to go ahead and add in my diced tomatoes. Again, this is optional, but go ahead and add in some salt just to add some extra flavor. And yeah, you'll definitely know when it's ready whenever your tomatoes start to become more soft and translucent. As for my couscous, it's looking great. I like how it's becoming more thick, which is good, but I still see a lot of water, so I'm gonna let that sit for just a little bit more. Now that my oven is done preheating, I'm going to go ahead and place my salmon on a cooking sheet. Now feel free to use your standard raw salmon. To be honest, it'll probably be a lot healthier that way because I have no clue if this frozen salmon that I'm using right now has preservatives in it or not. But I decided to go ahead and do the easier and faster route this time. But by purchasing raw salmon and cooking it for this recipe is obviously going to take a little bit of extra time, but the salmon that I'm using today is already pre-cooked and pre-seasoned, so all I need to do is pop it in the oven for about 12 to 15 minutes. So now I'm just going to go ahead and check on my vegetables and my couscous. My veggies are looking pretty good. I'm going to let those cook down just a little bit more because the tomatoes are still a little firm, but my couscous on the other hand is looking absolutely great. As you can see, there's hardly any water in the pot, which is good. For the most part, my couscous is pretty much done. Look at that. That is so beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to reduce my heat, or actually I'm just going to turn the heat to my couscous all the way off, and I'm going to cover it up and set it to the side, but I'm just double checking the directions to make sure that's okay. But yes, I'm just going to turn that off and wait for my vegetables to cook down just a little bit more. And yes, I am adding a little bit of salt. Okay, so as you can see, my tomatoes are starting to become soft and translucent, which is good. So I think my vegetables are pretty much done. Oh my goodness, look how beautiful that is. Oh my gosh. Yes, so I'm setting aside my couscous and my veggies, and I'm going to patiently wait for my salmon to cook, and then in a bowl I'm going to throw all of this yummy goodness together. So now that my salmon is done cooking, I'm going to take it out the oven and immediately add lemon juice. Now this is totally optional, but I highly recommend adding lemon juice to your salmon. More or less, it's just your preference, but this recipe is a lot more flavorful with just a hint of that zesty flavor. Now it is time to put everything together. Go ahead and grab your couscous and your vegetables and put it in a bowl or a container or whatever you prefer to use. And there you have it. That is my couscous with my vegetables. Now what's left to add is my salmon. And that's it. This is a super quick and easy meal to make. You can obviously use whatever type of meat that you would prefer. Even if you're not a pescatarian, I feel like chicken would be really good with this. But for me, since I am a pescatarian, I'm gonna just stick with fish. Maybe next time I'll do like shrimp or tilapia. I think I'm gonna do shrimp next time. But anyways, this was so good. I'm just gonna top it off with just a little bit of pepper. And that should do it. But like I said, I really enjoyed this dish. It turned out to be so good. So if you'd like to see me make more videos like this, please let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. It would be much appreciated. And if you're not already, go ahead and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!